Welcome back. So in this video, we are going to discuss the chapter 5 in Certified in Cybersecurity. The chapter 5 is a huge chapter and focus more about security operations. To covering the agenda, we'll be covering up about the four modules. One will be understand data security. Second will be understand system handling. Third will be understand best security policies. And fourth will be understand security awareness trainings. Coming with the mapping or domain mapping. So under this module 1, under data security, we have 5.1 to 5.1.3 and system hardening 2 domains, and module 3 best practices and security policies we have 6, and security awareness we have 4. Then the learning objectives. So after completing this chapter, the participants will be able to explain the concept of security operations, discuss data handling best practices, identify key concepts of logging and monitoring, summarize the different types of encryption and their common use, describe the concepts of configuration management, explain the application of common security practices, discuss the importance of security awareness training, practice the terminology of and review the concept of network operations. And if you see the key takeaways, let us discuss the terminologies and we'll quickly come back to this chapter. The terminologies here we have is application server, a system responsible for hosting applications to user stations. So it's considered as application server. Then we have asymmetric encryption, an algorithm that uses one key to encrypt and the different key to decrypt is known as asymmetric encryption. It means two set of keys will be used for encryption and the decryption. And we have a checksum. A digit represents the sum of corresponding digits in the piece of stored or transmitted digital data against which later comparison can be made to detect errors in the data. Then we have a ciphertext, the altered form of ciphertext plain text message. So it is unreadable for anyone except the intent recipients. In other words, it is turned into a secret. Then we have a classification. Classification identifies the degree of harm to an organization, its stakeholders, or others that might result if an information asset is divulgeable to an unauthorized persons or a process or an organization. In short, the classification is focused first and foremost on maintaining the confidentiality of the data based on the data sensitivity. Then next we have configuration management, the process and the discipline used to ensure that the only changes made to a system are those that can be authorized and validated. Then we have a cryptanalysis, one who perform cryptanalysis, which is study for mathematical techniques for attempting to defeat cryptographic techniques or information system security. This includes the process of looking for errors or a weakness in the implementation of an algorithm or of algorithm itself. And then we have a cryptography, a study or an application of the methods to secure or protect the meaning and the context of the messages, files, or other information, usually by discourse or other transformations of that content and the meaning. We have a DLP, data loss prevention, system capabilities designed to detect and prevent the unauthorized use and the transmission of information. And we have a decryption. The reverse process from the encryption is considered as a decryption. It is a process of converting a ciphertext message back into a plain text through the use of cryptographic algorithms and the appropriate key for crypto for decryption, which is same for cryptographic encryption but different for asymmetric encryption. This term is also used interchangeably with the deciphering. Then we have a disguising, a technique of erasing data on a disk or a tape, including videotapes, that, when performed properly, ensure that there is an insufficient magnetic remembrance or to reconstruct data. Then we have a digital signature, the result of cryptographic transformation of data, which, when properly implemented, provides a service of origin authentication, data integrity, and signer non-repetitions. And egress monitoring, so it monitors the outgoing network traffic, which means from inside to an outside network. Then we have an encryption, the process and the act of converting the message from a plain text to a ciphertext. Sometimes it is also referred to as encrypting. The two terms are sometimes used interchangeably in literature and have similar meanings. And we have an encryption systems, a total set of algorithms, process, hardware, software, and the procedures that taken together provides an encryption and the decryption capabilities. Then we have ordering, a reference to a process of applying secure configuration to reduce the attack surface and locking down various hardwares, communication systems, and the softwares, including operating systems, web servers, application servers, and applications. Ordering is normally performed based on industry guidelines and the benchmarks, such as those provided by Center of Internet Security. And we have an hash function, an algorithm that computes a numerical value called the hash value on the data file or an electronic message that is used to represent that file or a message, and depends on entire content of the file or message. An hash function can be considered to be a fingerprint of a file or a message. Then hashing is defined as a process of using a mathematical algorithm against data to produce a numeric value that is represented of that data. So we have an egress monitoring, monitoring of incoming network traffic, and message digest, a digital signature that uniquely identifies data and has a properties such as changing a single bit in a data will cause us a completely different message digest to be generated. And we have operating system, the software or a control master control application that runs the computer. It is the first program loaded when the computer is turned on, and it is main component, the kernel, which is resides in the memory at all the times. The operating system sets the standards for all application programs such as web server that runs in the computer. An application communicate with the operating system for most user interface and the file management operation. Next we have a patch, a software component that when installed directly modify files or a device settings related to a different software components without changing the version number or release details of the released software components. The next we have a patch management, a systematic notification, identification or a deployment or installation and verification of operating systems and application software code revisions. These revisions are known for patches, hotfix, service packs. And we have a plain text, a message or a data in its natural format and in a readable format, extremely vulnerable from a confidential perspective. The next are records, the recording an automated or a manual of evidence of activities performed or a results achieved. Example, forms reports and test results, which serves as a basic for verifying that an organization and the information systems are performing as intent. Also used to refer to units of related data files, that is groups of data files that can be accessible by the program and that contain a complete set of informations on a particular items. We have a record retention, a practice based on the record's life cycle, according to which records are retained as long as necessary and then destroyed after the appropriate time interval as encapsulated. Then remembrance, residual information remaining on the storage media after clearing. Then request for a change, the first stage of a change management, wherein the change in the procedure or a product is sought by an stakeholders. Then we have a security governance, then entities of a policies, roles, and the process an organization uses to make a security decisions in the organization is considered as security governance. And next we have a social engineering, tactics to infiltrate systems via emails, phones, text, or social media, often impersonating a person or an agency in authority or offering a gift. A low-tech method could be simply be following someone into secure buildings. Asymmetric encryption, an algorithm that uses the same key in both the encryption and the decryption process. Then we have a web server, a computer that provides worldwide web services on the internet. It includes hardware, operating system, web server software, website content. If a web server is used internally or not by a public, it may be known as an intranet server. And whaling attack, so phishing attack that attempt to trick highly placed officials or provide an individuals with sizable asset in the authorized larger funds transferred to previously known entities. So now we done with the terminologies here. Now we will start discussing about the topics. First we will be starting with the module 1. So module 1 will be focusing about data security. So here we have a data handling process or a procedure, we'll say, and include 7 stages of handling a data. First stage will be create. So data will be in the form of a word, a picture, or a document, or an Excel, or a PowerPoint, or in a hardware, or in a hardware format, maybe like a printed format, all those things. Okay, then you need to store the data. So storing may be in two formats. One will be the hard copy, and another will be the soft copy. The next will be the share, to whom you need to share. Okay, whether an authorized person or unauthorized person. So that comes under a share. Then use, where we'll be using this data. Some cases PII data will be used while application filling out. Okay, and modify. Some cases you need to modify a data, so which comes under the modification. And archive. Archive is a long-term storage. You need to archive it for a long period of time. And finally, a destroy phase. Okay, so depends on the type of data, you need to destroy the generated or created data. So some of the examples of data sensitivity levels. So first we have an highly restricted. So highly restricted comes with a compromise of data with this sensitive label could probably put the organization future existence at risk. Compromise could lead to an substantial loss of life, injury, or a property damage, and litigations and claims that could follow. Then moderate restricted. Compromise of data with this sensitivity label could lead to a loss of temporary, consecutive, or competitive damages, loss of revenue, or disputation of planned investment or activities. Then comes with a low sensitivity. Low sensitivity, sometimes called internal use only. So compromise of data with this sensitive label could cause minor disputations, delays, or an impact. The next we have an unrestricted public data. So as this data is really published, no harm can come from a further discriminations or disclosure. So now we got a clarity about an highly restricted data. moderately restricted data, low sensitivity data, and unrestricted public data. Then next we have a logging, ingress monitoring tools such as a firewall, gateways, remote authentication server, IDS and IPS tools, SIM solution, anti-malware solutions. Then next we have egress monitoring data types. So we have an email, so content and attachments, copy to a portable media, file transfer protocols, posting to web pages or websites. Then we have an application, programming interface, and API. And two primary types of encryption. We have a symmetric, a same key, and asymmetric, which will be using a different keys. Now under this module 1, okay, so the next topic we are going to discuss about data security. Here we have 5 functions of cryptographic hash. One will be the useful. It is easy to compute the hash value of any given message. It is useful. It's easy to compute the hash value of any given message. Then next we have a non-reversible. It is a computationally infeasible to reverse the hash process or otherwise drive the original plain text of the message from its hash value, unlike the encryption process for which there must be a corresponding decryption process. Then we have a content integrity assured. So it is computationally infeasible to modify the message such that reapplying the hash functions will produce a original hash value. Then we have a unique. It is computationally infeasible to find two or more different sensible message that hash to an same value. Then we have a domestic. The same input will always generate the same hash when using the same hashing algorithm. Next we have a module 2. So understand system handling. So here a configuration management procedures which include identification, baseline, change control, verification, and the audit. Then we have elements of configuration management. We have an inventory, baseline, updates, and the patches. And we have a module 3, understand best practices security policies. Best practice security policies include data handling, appropriate use of data, password, appropriate use of password, then acceptable use policy, how will you use of assets, devices, and the data, and bring your own device. So how to use your personal devices within and premises. Then privacy, appropriate protection of one's privacy. Then the change management, appropriate transmission from the current state to a future state. Then we have a data handling procedure policies. We have classify, categorize, label, store, encrypt, backup, and destroy. And we have module 3, understand best practice security policies. Examples of password policy procedures. First we have a password creation. All user and admin passwords must be at least a certain length. Longer paraphrase are encouraged, and password cannot be same or similar to other passwords used on any other web-based systems, applications, or personal account. System should not be a single word or a commonly used phrase. Avoid passwords that is easy to guess, such as names, birthday of your friends, families, your favorite brands, catchphrase like you use. Dictionary words and phrases should be avoided. Complete installation passwords must be default installation password must be changed immediately after installation is complete. The next we have a password aging. So user password must be changed on a schedule established by an organization. Previously used passwords may not be reused. System level passwords must be changed accordingly to a schedule established by the organization. Then we have a password protection. Password must not be shared with anyone, even an IT staff or a supervisor, and must not be revealed to send electronically. Do not write down your passwords. Then we have an acceptable use policy procedure. So under this, a data access, system access, data disclosure, passwords, data retention, internet usage, company device usage, and we have possible device on the bring your own device policy. We have cell phones, tablet, laptop, smartwatch, and Bluetooth devices. Privacy policy protects. We have PII, EPHI, bank and credit card informations. Examples of national and international privacy regulation laws such as GDPR in the European Union, Personal Information Protection and Electronic Document Act PIPEDA in Canada. And next we have a module 3. So understand best security policies. So change management policy consists of 3 major categories. One will be deciding to change, second making the change, and confirming that the change has been correctly accomplished. Then we have a module 4. So understand security awareness trainings. So under this security awareness training we include education, training and the awareness. Some social engineering techniques we have baiting, social phone phishing or wishing, pretexting, quid pro quo, tailgating, false flag or false front operations. And if you see, this is an example how the data will be handled and created. So we call this as data security life cycle. So if you see, there are the stages where data will be created. First stage will be the create. The second stage will be stored. The third will be use. Fourth will be share. Fifth will be archive. And the sixth will be destroy. So these are the 6 stages our data will be created and destroyed. And next we have a use of symmetric encryption. So you need to have a better clarity on the encryption, symmetric and asymmetric algorithm. Symmetric algorithm, we have a sender, and the encryption process, then the ciphertext, then the receiver decryption process, and the plain text. Here we'll be using a key material, out of bound key distributions and key materials, and use of asymmetric cryptography to send confidential messages such as plain text, encryption, ciphertext, decryption and the plain text. Here if you see key material, K material, a same key will be used for encryption and the decryption, but here key material encryption with the public key of the receiver, key material encryption with the public key of the receiver. So here we are using a public key and here you will be using a private key. So what I'm trying to say here means in asymmetric encryption, 2 set of keys used. One will be the public key and next will be the private key. And coming with the configuration management, so configuration management consists of 4 stages. One will be the identification stage, second will be the baseline, third will be the change control, fourth will be the verification and the audit. Okay, so under this identification change configuration management, what type of things they need to change or modify, or what type of configurations mismatch will be identified during this identification phase. Then baseline, they define their own baselines. Then fourth will be the change control, and next will be the verification and the audit. Then the next stage we have a change management component. So here it include 3 stages. One will be a request for change, 2 will be the approval, 3 will be the back rule. And we have formulas and calculations for cryptographic hash values. So cryptographic hash function, we have variable data input plus hashing algorithm which gives a fixed bit size data output. Okay, just to summarize the overall chapter, so this chapter consists of lot of things before appearing for exam. Just to get a chapter summary, so this chapter will be focused on an end-to-end moment by moment use of security controls and risk mitigation strategies in an organization. We discovered ways to secure data and the system they reside on. Data security as a process and the discipline provides a structure for protecting the value of data as an organization creates, stores, share, use, modifies, archive, and finally destroy the data is known as data handling. During data handling, an organization classify, assigns data sensitivity levels, categorize, determine the type of data, labels, applies the name to data, re- reminds how long to keep the data, and destroys or erase or destroy the data. The best practice for securing data is encrypting the data. We explore the process of encrypting data in the plain text with a key and algorithm to create a ciphertext, then using either the same key or a different key or a same algorithm to decrypt the ciphertext to convert it back to the plain text. Then hashing was methodologically described. Hashing takes an input, a set of data for almost arbitrary size, returns fixed length result called the hash value. And we have a system modeling. System modeling is a process of applying secure configuration to reduce the attack surface, locking down various hardwares, communication systems, and the softwares, including operating system, web server, and the application server. We also discussed configuration management and the process and the discipline used to ensure that the only changes made to a system are those that has been authorized and validated. Configuration management consists of identification, baseline, change control, verification, and audit. During configuration management, one must conduct inventory, baseline, updates, and the practices. The following best practices, the following best security policies were examined: data handling, appropriate use of data, passwords, appropriate use of passwords, acceptable use, appropriate use of assets, bring your own device, appropriate use of personal devices, privacy, appropriate protection for one privacy, change management, appropriate transmission from the current state to a future state, change management practice, address a common set of core activities, documentation, approval, and rollback. It starts with the change request for change and moves through various development and set strategies until a change is released to an end user. We ended the chapter by discussing the importance of security awareness trainings and how it reduces internal threat to an organization. By breaking down the series of security awareness training into the education, training, and awareness, we identify that the training can be tailored to a security topics, organization, policies, positions, or individual. We also emphasize the importance of password protection. Now we just came to the summarization of chapter 5 as security operations. So just to give a overview about the certification program certified in a cybersecurity, we covered chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5. Moreover, I'll be giving some practice questions where you can go and practice before appearing for the exams.